Well, hello there. Would you listen to that? The stylings of Mr. John Cordy. Love it, John. Always love it, John. So good. Well, today, welcome back to the Tone Junkie podcast. Been a little hiatus lately, but got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about in the world of Tone Junkie and in the world in general. You can go to Buy Me a Coffee /Tone Junkie, link in the description if you want to buy me a coffee for the next podcast episode. Today I am drinking, it's a little McDonald's Keurig cup because I hadn't done a podcast in a while and that was all the coffee I could afford. But this is now that is how we support the channel, support the podcast, because we don't put any ads on this podcast if you haven't noticed. Unless you're talking about the ad for the Tone Junkie Loaded Kemper, available exclusively at British No, I'm just kidding. It is, though. It really is. So much to talk about. Man, let's jump right in first to what's happening in the Kemperverse. And obviously, you've probably heard about the iOS editor. It's all people are talking about. It's all over the place. Kemper's really been hinting at it. I mean, at some point I go, are these even hints or is this an announcement? Because, I mean, what aren't you saying at this point, right? You've pretty much announced everything. It's not like they just put out a little app logo and then you see how it runs. There's videos now of them, people just using it. And so it looks like we get an iOS editor. Is it coming to Android? I hope it does come to Android, because if it comes to Android, you're going to be able to get a very cheap Android tablet and just use it as a dedicated, rig manager tablet. And the reason that's really cool is, I think if right now Kemper said, hey, our Kemper 2 comes with a tablet for only $100 more, I think everyone would buy that Kemper 2 with the tablet. But you're going to be able to just get a tablet you can get Android tablets for $100. And you're going to have a dedicated Kemper controller there. So I think if you think about it, if you frame it that way, had someone asked you, would you like your Kemper to be able to, have a dedicated tablet that came along with it that was the wireless controller for the Kemper? I think a lot of people would say yes to that. And basically that's what Kemper's now given you, the ability to do that for whatever price point you want to do. And it's free if you already have a tablet. That'll run it. I myself was about to get an iPad, but I just want to make sure now that this iOS device, this iOS software they're putting out is going to work with that tablet. So, that's what I'm doing right now. That's what I'm doing. What else is new in the Tone Junkie verse? I got all the Fenders. I got them all, and I got them in the studio here, and I'll get into some studio work I'm doing. And then, then we'll just postulate about the planet and the globe and life. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. I got all these amps, all these mid 60s Fenders, and I'm gonna do the Blackface collection now. And boy, I'll tell you, if those suckers didn't need a little bit of work to get them all up to snuff. So right now, I've been filming and going to British Audio and having them repair some stuff. And basically, I just wanted to make sure all the speakers were correct. Because, you get into this world of Fenders. And you find out all of a sudden. You go, they were changing speakers around. They were doing all sorts of stuff. And in fact, when the circuits aren't changing, the speakers are. 64, 65, 66, 67, you start seeing speakers change big time. CTSs seem to go out. Jensens seem to come in. Different Jensens come in. We see Utahs show up, Blue Label Utahs, which continued. Those seem to be a CBS speaker, or at least what I mean by that is CBS seems to contract with Utah after the buyout. And so on the 64s, you don't see any Utahs, at least to my knowledge. You see Jensen's, you see CTS. That's some good coffee. And it begs the question, what is the Blackface sound? What is the speaker that goes with it? What speaker goes with a deluxe reverb? Is it a Jensen C12N? It could be. And that's what I'm going to do for the Tone Junkie, for the 65 pack. That's what I'm going to do. But just as easily, and I actually did buy a Utah from 67, and I was gonna put it in the 65 amp, but I'm just not quite sure what I'm gonna do. Anyway, there's just so many different things you could do. There really are, in terms of speakers and stuff, and what's right and what's wrong. I don't know. But what I do know is I'm very excited about this pack and about what we're going to do there. And it's going to be available for Kemper, Quad Cortex, and there'll be IRs with it as well. I'm stoked about that. I really am. I'm stoked about that. So it's a good time to be a Tone Junkie, man. It really is. All these different devices and stuff. I had a question recently pop up, and this is kind of what I wanted to get into a little bit on this podcast. Some people asked me about the Quad Cortex, and specifically there was a thread on KPW that KPW is, for those of you who listen to the podcast and maybe you do not belong to that community, KPW is Kemper Praise and Worship on Facebook. It's a bunch of Sunday morning guys who play Kempers. And in a lot of ways, that group is my home and always will be my Facebook group home. And somebody asked, why aren't there more demos? Why have the demos and videos dried up of the QC, from worship tutorials, from Tone Junkie? And, basically, I don't perceive them as being dried up. I just had a conversation with the guys at Worship Tutorials the other day, and it seemed like they were just working on some stuff. People have babies and families and everything, but I want to tell you from my side what I'm thinking about the Quad Cortex at this point. And so I want to unequivocally go on the record and just say, is the Quad Cortex a Kemper killer? I can't say that in earnest, to be honest with you. Yes, there's look, at this point where we stand, the Kemper has an editor coming out. I don't know when the editor is coming out for the Quad Cortex. Is there going to be some sort of a wireless editor for the Quad Cortex? Maybe yes, maybe no. Seems to me that a desktop editor is of the utmost importance right now. But I'm going to tell you, as a content maker, I have a couple frustrations with the unit right now. And that's that it's just damn hard to share stuff. And it just is. I know that there's been this effort to, it's super easy to share things to the cloud and do everything. It's one of those things, like, it is easier, but actually in trying to make it easier, it now has created a whole new set of problems. And there's a lot of people who we've taken this community of people, these digital guitar players, these guys who play digital stuff, and we've put them online, and now we have given them a different workflow than they use on other units, and that takes some retraining, right? So I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about users. I'm getting all sorts of questions, or like, maybe I want to, I give away a pack for free and I put it up there on the Cloud Cortex, Quad Cortex cloud, and there's not really a way to organize my captures within my unit. I can't put them in subfolders, right? Okay, fine. So I've kind of got to keep track of what have I shared and what have I not shared. It's a little tangly on the unit. Then I've got stuff I make public and I put it in a patch. But if I change the patch, or if I want to update something or go, no, I want to change the purple plexi that's up there, the problem is it messes with all the patches I've also let people download. So all of a sudden they go into their preset, and that capture I may have wanted to update, right? And so if I don't maintain these things on the cloud, then it messes with other people's units, which I don't want. I want to be able to take units down, things that I don't want to offer anymore. And I want to do that because selfishly, as a content creator, I want to tell people, hey, go get this thing. Go get this thing. And I might have a collection of things up there, and that doesn't mean I want to leave them up there forever. Partly because it clouds up, my Tone Junkie little page, and partly because maybe I want to offer things for a little while for free that I don't want to offer forever. And so, not being able to have a storefront yet, or have some way that I can basically sell these, means that I've got to only do things for free. I'm fine supporting the community. And to be transparent with you, I understand that supporting the QC community now means there's going to be more people who try my stuff and maybe want to buy it later. And those of you who know me know that, I have generosity and giving and providing things for free has been a part of Tone Junkie's DNA since the very beginning. This year alone for Kemper, right? Which I don't need any help with my Kemper reputation, right? That's just being honest, right? There's a thread right now on Facebook that they ask, who's your top favorite profilers? And I didn't see anyone mention more than myself and Michael Britt. So I'm not saying that to say I'm the best. I may not be the best. I may be the best. That's a subjective thing that's up to you. What I am saying is, objectively, Tone Junkie is at least well known in the Kemper community, right? Can we say that? I've made enough videos and enough Instagram, social media posts, and I've been doing it for long enough. There's very few people that haven't heard of me, like me or hate me. You've seen that idiot in the floral with the monkey, or I've answered a question via email for you. I've talked to you. You've become my friend. We text. Whatever, right? It runs the gamut of all the people who are Tone Junkie customers. People have just become my friends. A lot of them I haven't even met face to face. I got to be careful because I say that, and then all of a sudden I have no time to get back to anyone and stuff. But that's the truth. That's the truth. And even people who kind of live locally and come to Nashville a lot, I have ended up starting to get together with them just periodically, and they become friends. Anyway, all that to say, I just want all of this BS to get out of my way so that I can capture the world. And at this point, I think there's so many cool things with QC, and I'm not harping on Neural, because I know there's been a million challenges when it comes to getting the unit in the country, passed through the ports. That's a huge challenge. Getting it manufactured during COVID, all this stuff. But right now, I feel just very encumbered by the entire ecosystem, because maybe I want to go, I want to capture some this amp a different way, and I want to take down those captures, except if I take them down, it messes with your unit. And so I've got to leave them up there. And then when you go to the Tone Junkie page, it's just it'll become this long list of just capture. And that's what happens. I have a pack up there. I have several packs up there for free. Just several captures, and then there's some packs for free. Well, mine has a little more because I'm about to release another free capture pack. But you just see all these ones listed, and it's difficult to navigate. It's difficult to find anything. It's difficult to find anything on the cloud right now. So, in my humble opinion, if the guys at Neural are going to listen to this, I would say this: in terms of functionality and the functions you've introduced, I think this is great. But at this point, we need a way that someone can download something from a third-party site and put it on the unit via a USB cable. Because we need some way to organize files. It doesn't work on the unit. It is not like the unit right now is the bare minimum of file organization. You can't put captures of pedals in one place and these other captures in another. You can't create subfolders. And so I don't know what the thinking is here, but people are going to behave the way they're going to behave. I'm going to make way too many captures. People are already creating way too many captures. And this is the same thing that happened to the rig exchange. And I've been talking to Kemper about this. The signal to noise ratio on the rig exchange is just awful. It's great that everyone's contributing. What sucks is the community in the Kemper side is ignoring the rating system. So we have really no way to let to separate the wheat from the chaff, right? The cream can't rise to the top. So there's solutions for that. The bones are there. But what we're really getting into with QC and with Kemper at this point is community management. And right now, the community management is non-existent. The Cortex app has had absolutely zero updates since it's come out. There's no features of new captures. There's nothing. And I'm not upset about that, but what I can't help but notice is that users are ignoring what's on the app. Case in point, Tone Junkie has, about the time I'm recording this, about 720-30 followers on the app. I believe Tone Junkie has the most followers on the Quad Cortex app of anyone who's not listed on the homepage, right? That's not Rebay, who's listed on the homepage. That's not Neural itself. That's not Pliny. That's not Corey Wong, right? If you're listed on the homepage, or if you're listed on the home screen of the app, you're theoretically going to get more people. I'm gaining on all those people. I'm gaining on them because I'm making content for YouTube, and I haven't in the past week and a half or 2 weeks for Quad Cortex, but I have the stuff. I've been working on stuff. So I'm going to eclipse them, and then the issue is going to become I'm probably gonna have to make a video on this because I'm phrasing it in a very long-winded way, and so this is just me working out in my head. The issue is going to become, hey, the users are actually following someone at a higher trajectory. This page is growing more than other pages that are being featured, meaning the featured list of users is not being used by users because it hasn't changed. There's nothing new. So users are being trained to ignore the home page, the home screen. So, and that's not good. That's not good for UI. That's not good for community management. You don't want users ignoring things, because if users begin to ignore things, that's them telling you, you didn't give us anything worth our attention. And so, the same thing here with QC is kind of the same thing that's happened with Kemper on Rig Manager, is that you have people like me who go, well, how will I get people's attention? How will I get customers, followers, whatever? How will I get attention? Well, still the best way is to go a roundabout way, and that's to go via social media and then get people to go to a site or the app, right? So right now with QC, I'm telling people on YouTube, I go to where their attention is, I get their attention, I give them information or entertainment, and I say, now go on the app and follow Tone Junkie and download this free thing. If that is getting more followers, and it is right now, the trajectory for me is higher than those other pages, because they got up high. They were like at 800 and I was at like 100. 200. Then they got to 900, I'm at 300. Then they get to 1,000 and I'm up here at 500, 600. So I'm gaining on all of it. And the only reason that is because users are ignoring that page and you know, I'm making content stuff. My point is, I'm asking people to do a lot, and that's a sign to me that the resources are not being pushed towards this app. And not to say that it won't be pushed towards the app. I understand that what we're seeing right now is still a rollout. But all this app stuff needs to be it needs to be a door, not a wall. And that's really my point in this. The community would be better served if they could already have bought packs from people. That's just the truth at this point. We've got users who have had this thing for a couple months, and I understand that from neural standpoint, it's like we're still trying to fill QC orders for Sweetwater and all that stuff. We're still in the rollout phase. Yeah, but the people who pre-ordered first, they're not rolling the unit out anymore. They've had the unit, they're using it. And quite honestly, they're running out of things to talk about. They're running out of things to do. I applaud Neural for however using this time to do updates, which I know Doug Castro and the team is working on. So I think they are focused on the right things. I just think from a community management standpoint, there's some ideas I'm not quite thinking are holding up to reality. That's how I'm going to put that. I think there's some ideas about what's going to be good for the community, but in reality, those ideas should be, maybe are valuable, but they need to be added to community behavior. Community behavior right now is people download things, and a lot of times people, see, here's the thing. A capture and a profile is so cheap and easy to get, whether you pay for it or not. It's like songs on your computer. And look what we did with songs on the computer. At first, immediately people showed an appetite for music where they were like, I want to download 5 gigs of music. And they just started downloading. They never even listened to the music, right? Which is why, like when the record industry sued Napster, they came up with how much money they had been out. And a lot of people, maybe people don't know this, the record industry, the RIAA, the Record Industry Association of America or whatever, they went to a judge and they said, here's all of the piracy that's happened through Napster. And if all of this music had been purchased, here is what it would have cost. So here's the damage to the record industry. It was larger than the entire American economy. It was larger than GDP. So the record industry is over here saying our damages are in the trillions. And the judge is looking at this going, okay, so for me to believe you, what you're saying is, had it not been for Napster, the record industry would have 10,000x'd these 3 years we're talking about. It would have, music literally would have become air. And the judge said this can't be your damages. I understand this is what people downloaded, but it's not necessarily true that they would have purchased it had the download not been free, right? So where do we see this? We see this is a logical fallacy, sometimes called the ice cream cone fallacy, right? It's like a guy owns they talk about this like first year economics. It's like a guy who owns an ice cream shop, and he finds out that one of the kids has been giving all his friends double scoops of ice cream. They only paid for a single. He gave them double. So the owner of the business looks at it and says, you gave 100 people an extra scoop. You scooped 100 extra scoops. The difference in price between a single scoop and a double scoop is $1. You cost me $100. Not even close. How many of those people were going to bought a single scoop and weren't going to buy a double scoop? Some amount, right? So a lot of those people weren't going to eat a double scoop unless you gave it to them for free. They were just going to buy a double scoop. And then 2, you're really only out the amount that the ice cream costs, which is pretty low. The guy's probably out $20. That's probably what it's going to equate to, something like that. I'm just pulling that out of the air, but it's not half. He's not out half. I doubt half those people. You know what I'm saying? The point, you can't know unless you have other data. But my point is, you can to some magnitude think that people think that your damages are greater, right? What's the point of that? My point is there's a difference between demand for a product and demand for access to a product. I want Netflix to produce more content next year than they did last year. I will watch less content on Netflix than they did last year. Because my $9.99 is buying me access on Spotify. Look at music again. People, Apple said, you guys don't want to buy CDs? Fine. Every song in the world ever is 99 cents, with the exception of the Beatles and whatever, right? Every song's 99 cents. They made it so easy to go get music. People started buying a lot more music. And eventually they realized this. With all the piracy and everything, it was an indicator that we should move to a subscription model. Why? Why is a subscription model so valuable for these companies? Because people don't want to decide what to put their money into. They just want access. They want access. Whatever that costs, they want access. I want access to every song in the world. Am I going to listen to all that music? No. I listen to the same 5 records mostly, right? It's like a couple John Mayer records. I listen to some jazz. And then I put together a couple playlists, for when I'm mowing my lawn. I mean, I listen to music that I'm playing. I listen to Zeppelin occasionally in my car. I listen to just a bunch of stuff. Sometimes the playlist is kind of what I do. But my point is, that's like the radio. That's free. People want access. They want to be able to go, what's that Beatles song? What's this song or that song? They want to be able to do that, right? That's what they want to be able to do. And they want to be able to take a whim and just go somewhere with it. They want to be able to just have access to anything they're thinking of. The internet has trained us to be that way. My biggest problem right now with the thinking around not having easy transfer of files is you end up with, you're limiting access because the way it's built right now is just inhibiting. And honestly, what people sell profiles and things for is relatively cheap. And even if you don't want those, the free stuff, you want to be able to go, give me everything. That's why Rig Exchange is so cool. You want to be able to just go, give me everything all at once and just have it all listed. Just give it to me and I'll catalog it and I'll put it in. I don't know. That's just my opinion. It's like, yes, right now you can go anywhere and find anyone's thing, but you can't, because you have to go, you're just searching through a list of captures that just have names. And I know there's functionality coming where you can try captures out, but then still, how are we going to go around? I don't know. I have a general frustration with it right now, because people are saying, why don't you put out more stuff? And I'm going, because it's so freaking cumbersome. It's such a headache. I literally, with Kemper stuff, it's like I put out stuff every week and files go to you free in the email. I just dump them in. What you do with them is your business. You want to save them, you want to not save them, doesn't matter. I don't have to go onto the unit and find which one I just did and then upload this. But okay, I have all these uploaded. Now I have to make this one visible, but not this one visible. So on my end, I see all these ones that are visible and not visible. And it's very difficult to see what's visible and not visible, because maybe I have stuff I don't want to release. Maybe because I want to pay for it, or because I'm not sure I want to release it, because maybe I don't want to release it until I put it into a preset so I can show it off a bit, show the context of it. And then if I move something, once it goes up, it has to stay there and I have to keep it there. Because if I move something, it messes with the preset that you took, or you're using the capture in your thing, and then you go to play and you can't. And it's just why do I have the ability to mess with your unit? This is stupid. This is dumb. That's a dumb feature. Guys, this is the strongest thing I'm going to say. QC, guys, that's stupid. Change it immediately. You show up to a gig and your unit connects with Wi-Fi because you've been to that place before, you're at a church, or you sit down for a session, or you're trying to make a video for YouTube, and all of a sudden it says your favorite preset doesn't work anymore because somebody else messed with something. you're pissed. That's the kind of thing people sell things over. Like they get upset and they sell things. So at this point, I really like the QC. I really think it's super promising. It feels like I'm playing a beta version of the app. And that's just the thing. And so my cry is, Gorbachev, tear down that, Mr. President, tear down this wall. Just please give us a bare minimum editor that we can at least just catalog things, put them on our computer, load them on a device, or take them off, that is disconnected from what other people do. Other people should not be able to affect our unit. Ever, 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 ever. You want to have, IP protection? Fine. Institute the IP protection so that you can't get the IP protected thing onto your unit. But once items are on the unit, don't start looking for piracy, because you just create this big can of worms that doesn't need to be there. It doesn't need to be there. It's not helpful for the community. It's not helpful. It's not helpful for the community, okay? I got to make a video on this. I'm going to have to make a video on this, because the thing is I'm in contact with Doug. I don't want to, I'm not trying to go public and like blast him. They're working on the right things on the effects and everything side, and the announcement he's making are right. But I just don't know what to do about this community thing. Yeah, they got to get a couple things changed. And the thing is, it's hard to put in a hierarchy. There's already like 5 issues that the community has brought up that I know they're working to fix. So I'm not trying to get on them. It's just, it is difficult to not become impatient, right? And that is the feedback that I would give them. And that's why I'm okay saying something like this. I very much applaud the unit. I applaud what they're doing. I sincerely mean that. But the feedback I would give them at this point is there is frustration, right? There is a myriad of things that I know are, for them, they have to rank them and work on them, right? And so that's just what it is. But I'm confident they're going to fix it based on conversations I've had with people, and they're looking in the right direction. I think they're meaning very well with this community thing. They're trying to take good care of the community. But it's like a garden, weeds pop up, and sometimes you throw down the wrong soil, you throw down the wrong fertilizer, and it inadvertently ends up, messing up the rose bushes when you were all you were trying to do was get the tulips to sprout up. You know what I'm saying? It's just unintentional consequences, really. So that's that. Man, the crypto bubble is popping right now. It's like popping. And I'm over here. I made a little day trade today. I pulled up to Chick-fil-A, and I got I'm back strict on this diet, man, because Chubby's getting fat over here, bro. It's just like we're going into summer, and I have not kept this physique in show-ready condition. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I've been back on for a little while, and I do have some progress. I'm down a couple pounds, but you just got to stick with it. Problem is, you start going on vacation, and when you go on vacation, you're like, I'm going to eat whatever I want. What is this? They got the world's best donuts here? I got to eat that. And then 11 donuts later, you're like, if I stop now, I haven't eaten a box of donuts. Not at one sitting, but, in 2 days. If I stop now, I have not eaten a box of donuts. And then it's like, well, what's 11 or 12 or 13, right? They don't call it, it's a baker's dozen, right? You going to disrespect the baker like that? How dare you? But anyway, so I go to Chick-fil-A this morning, and I go through the drive-thru, and I get their little, first of all, I'm not trying to make this political, but all I'm going to say is when Trump was president, we had bagels at Chick-fil-A. Okay. So, hey, Joe Biden, hey, how about you freaking put in that clean energy bill that we're bringing bagels back. Okay. Cause what the heck, Chick-fil-A. I really think COVID has left us with this it's given everyone an excuse to like not do hard things. Like if you go to a hotel, they're like, oh yeah, we don't clean the rooms because of COVID. You're on your own. It's like, what am I paying you for? Come clean this room. This is what you do at a hotel. Come make I'm at a hotel. I'm not at my house, right? You're supposed to come in and make the bed and tidy up and give me fresh towels. That's part of being at a hotel. I'll go somewhere cheaper if you're going to provide me less. Anyway, there is that thing out there, right? And it's like, or you go to restaurants and they're like, oh yeah, well, we no longer have silverware, just plasticware. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm paying $15 for lunch and I'm sitting down here. No, I have to have okay. I have to have this plastic fork. It's like, there's all this stuff that I really feel like at this point is just, it's like compromises in quality. And it's like some of these places I think are finding, it's just easier to not have things kind of be like, here's one, the play place at Chick-fil-A is closed. Yet I'm like, well, the indoor playground down the street, like the indoor activity place, that charges $10 or $15, they're still open. And I feel like thank you, Chick-fil-A, you opened up your dining room again so I can go in and order. I appreciate that. I can go and eat inside, but my kids can't play in there, which is half the appeal of going, especially on their family night when they have balloon animals. And then my kids are like, why can't I go in the play place? And I'm like, because COVID. And to them, they're like, yeah, but we were just playing indoors at Jump Street up the road. And I'm like, I know. And then I'm sitting here thinking like, well, you're the sucker because you paid $15 for them to get into that Jump Street place and go through tubes and do all this stuff and be all over these other kids, and they're at school. And I don't know. I mean, CDC says open the schools. Kids aren't transmitting it to each other. So, okay. Not trying to make this a COVID thing, but that's just what the CDC says the data says. So they open the school. My area has the lowest numbers it's ever had. The schools have been open for months and months and months, and yet Chick-fil-A can't open their little thing. And I just feel like, I mean, I get you're trying to keep people safe, but it feels a little bit like this experience has just suffered, and I'm not paying less, I'm paying more. And, I don't know. Could you just put up a sign and let people decide? Like, could I just tell the hotel, or could the hotel just say at check-in, check this box if you'd like people to come into your room when you're not there. Check that box because, warning, there's a pandemic and we'd like to accommodate you. And if you have any concerns about that, we don't want to come in your room and make you feel unsafe, put you at risk or something. But if you want to opt out of that, just go ahead and check this box and we'll come in and make your bed. But that option is not even given to me anymore. It just feels this cheapening thing. Or everywhere I go, they're like, we don't have that dish anymore. Yeah, it's tough getting stuff for COVID right now. I'm like, what? You can't get pork chops for I mean, what? The pigs don't have COVID. They had swine flu. We got over that. I don't know if pigs can get COVID. I have no idea. But it just feels like, I don't know, there's this stuff, so bagels are gone from Chick-fil-A. So anyway, I go into the Chick-fil-A. I didn't even go in, I went to the drive-thru. And I learned this on my last visit that bagels are gone. So I pull up and I go, maybe bagels are back. No, bagels are gone. And I'm just like, it's like, I was about to make a dark joke there. I shouldn't. Here's the dark joke. I was like, COVID didn't take my dad. He was in the hospital. He was sedated and paralyzed. We thought he was going to die. He made it out, and he's on oxygen for the rest of his life. This is a dark joke. I shouldn't say it. And it's like, he's going to live. I love my dad. He's going to live, and he's going to see my grandkids grow up. But COVID took bagels from Chick-fil-A. And I don't know which is worse. I'm sorry. Is that funny? I don't know. These things go through my head, right? It's like, that'd be a punchline. So I go through the Chick-fil-A, Drive-through. They don't have anybody out there waving people around, by the way. That's gone too. And I feel like they're saying my pleasure a little bit less. No, just kidding. So I go through the drive-through, and I get one of their like egg and cheese sausage sandwich, and I just take the bread off and I eat that. I'm trying to keep the carbs down. Get my diet lemonade. They got the best diet lemonade, by the way. And basically, I just I'm sitting there and I open it all up and I go, let me check what the market's doing. I open it up and I see crypto has plunged. And I sold all my crypto. I sold all my Bitcoin at like 55,000 or something. And it started coming down. And that was good. And I did well on that. That was a good trade. So I see this dip and I go, you know what? I'm not in Dogecoin. I'm not in Ethereum or Bitcoin, but I'm big on Ethereum. I'm long on Ethereum. I think that's got some stuff, and I'm looking into some other cryptos. I don't want to, Cardano and ADA. Anyway, there's some I'm looking at. I'm learning about. I'm attracted to ones that have function, but even that I'm not 100% positive about, which I can get into in a minute. But in a nutshell, I buy $100 worth of Doge because it's way down. And I go, well, this dip's as good as any. And at a big dip like that, there's going to be some recovery. So I bought some of that, bought $100 of Doge, and I mean, minutes later, I'm up 14%. And I go, well, this meal, I don't even remember what it was. $6 maybe? $5? I didn't get a meal, actually. I just got the drink and the sandwich. It might have been $4, $5. I don't know. I just made $14. And I just thought, as it's on my head, this is a free breakfast. So I sold Doge, made a quick $14 while I ate my breakfast. Ate the breakfast, threw the trash away, and went, there you go. Thank you, Lord, for the free breakfast. That's it's like the good book says, look to the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns. Yet your heavenly Father takes care of them. And whether you're religious or not, right? What's the meaning of that? I heard, it's funny because the reason that popped into my head this morning, that verse out of the Bible popped into my head because somebody said something that had nothing to do with the Bible, but it was the same piece of wisdom and it wasn't a religious thing. Somebody earlier said, don't worry about it. You're going to die. You're going to live until you die, whether you can afford to or not. Oh my gosh. That is one of the best things I've ever heard. Don't worry about it. You're going to live until you die, whether you can afford to or not. If that is not the most, and if you think about it, that is the same piece of wisdom as, what man by worrying can add a year to his life or a cubit to his height? Like, what will worry get you? Nothing. And then it goes on. Don't worry about what you'll eat or drink. Look to the birds. They get stuff. And if you think about that for a minute, what is the truth in that? Because you go, HW, people starve. Some people should be worried. But what it's saying is, don't worry. Go do something about it. Go do something. Don't worry isn't helping. Worry is the thing you do, but it doesn't help you out. It's actually not helping you get any food in your belly. Look at the birds. The birds don't sit around and go, what if there's no worms tomorrow? What if there's no bugs in the grass I can eat? No, they don't worry about it. They do what birds do that gets them food. It's really funny because I think about what that means when it says, look, but your heavenly Father provides for the birds, right? It's like, you can live whether you can afford to or not. You'll be alive whether you can afford to or not. I mean, that's literally true, right? What is this allegory, this analogy with the birds mean? What does this mean? It's an ancient piece of wisdom that belongs to 3 of the world's religions, right? 3 of the world's major religions say, look to the birds. So it's very interesting. And I'll tell you what I do sometimes. I get home and I usually bring the kids to school in the morning. I get home and I stare out my window and I just start drinking some coffee. And sometimes I'm looking down and we have this playground structure in the backyard. And what's interesting to me is I watch the birds. See, if you never watch birds hunt, all the birds in my area do this thing. Cardinals do it. Cardinals hunt a little different, but these certain birds around here, I know several types of birds do it. They stand in my grass and they stand themselves up real tall. They extend their neck fully up. They stand as tall as they can. Their body goes upright, their wings are down. And then when they move, they bring their head down and their posture goes more aerodynamic. Like they almost become horizontal to the ground when they're hopping on their legs going forward. But then they stop and they go completely upright. And if you look at when they're walking, the height of them, like the top of their head is almost even with their back. And then you look at them when they stand up straight, they literally double in height, most likely. I mean, they must have like a 70, 80% increase in height. And I watch them. They stand up. And they have eyes on both sides of their heads. They literally become towers in the grass. They put their head as high as they can, and they just watch. And what they're doing is they're surveying the grass for movement. They're just surveying for opportunity. They're looking. They're not worried. They're not sitting there going, oh my gosh, I don't see anything. They just put their head up, look, and I watch them. They put their head down, they go back into the movement posture, and they run forward like 5 steps really fast, and then they go vertical again, and they look. Opportunity? See any? No? Change the vantage point. Look up. Tall. Look around. See anything? No? Look. There's something. Attack. Boom. They go and get it. The other thing they do, all of the birds do. Now, some of them I notice kind of eat this way in the grass. They go around the grass. And I think what they're doing is mostly picking up bugs. And I don't know why they hunt differently, but it's a strat. But the other birds, like the cardinals, and we have blue jays also here. This is one of the things I love about this area of the United States. I don't know how many places have cardinals and blue jays, but literally, like I sometimes look at my window and I see a red bird and a blue bird. I don't know why that's cool, but you just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They're just all different colors, right? And I noticed the cardinals, though, they're not as tall. They don't stand up that way. They don't change their posture in that way. And so what they do is they sit up high on a branch and they look down. And you know what bird famously does that? Owls do that, right? Owls. And I know, and the hawks don't do that. Hawks hunt from the sky, right? So, but here's the point. All of the birds do this similar thing. So wait, cardinals, by the way, and all the birds do this. They sit on top of my playground structure. They sit on top of the beam that goes across the whole thing and that holds up the swings that my kids swing on. And there's like a little structure with a roof, like a little playhouse kind of structure built onto that's part of the playground, you know, has a little tiny wood roof. And they sit up there and they poop on it. It's full of bird poop up there because they just sit up there and, you know, shit all the time. A-holes. Anyway, what's really cool, though, about it is what they're doing is they're putting themselves up high to look down, and they're looking for something. When they see something, they go strike. And what I notice about this is this. The birds on the grass, right? They didn't create, they were given the ability to put themselves more upright and do this sort of tower posture thing. And they could do that. Right? And that's how they hunt. But a lot of the birds can't do that. or don't seem to. Those birds go up in higher places. And the point of this whole thing is, when you say don't worry, you'll be alive, or God will provide for you. This idea that you already have what you need, it goes to this. Did the bird put up the playground structure? No. Did the bird plant the tree? Did the hawk, when he's hunting, he hunts from the sky? Hawks, if you watch them, they soar and they almost become motionless. Do you ever notice how hawks, you may not realize this. Have you ever noticed hawks fly and then all of a sudden they start flying backwards because they go into the wind, and they and then all of a sudden the wind like kind of pushes them and they start to go to the side or something, and then the hawk changes its posture to flap like one more time, and then he starts doing it again. Hawks are doing that because you can't stay still when you're flying, except hawks kind of do. Hawks straddle the wind in such a way that they actually go to a very low rate of speed, and they continue to sort of arc their wings because it's difficult to survey the ground when you're moving quickly over it, but they have to keep flight because hawks. So here's my question. Did the hawk create the wind? Did the birds give themselves that posture? Did the birds who don't have that posture, or all the smaller birds who don't have the wingspan of the hawk that lets them do, because hawks have huge wings compared to their body. Most birds do not have those enormous wings that let them sort of, these hawks just sort of they glide on the, and because their wings are so big, they have enough lift to mass that they can almost stay motionless on this small current of wind. Did any of them create the thing that allows them to get the better vantage point? I mean, there's like lessons in here about opportunity and access, right? We talked about access earlier, right? There's things about education and all these things, and there's problems there. But my point is, the bird didn't plant the tree. He didn't build the playground. He didn't sit further away from my house. There's a gas easement, giant gas easement, and so it's just this big open area. And every several feet, there's another gas pole coming out of the ground that just warns you, don't dig here, right? Don't disturb this place. You got a giant gas main underneath, right? Don't mess it up. The thing is, the birds didn't create any of those, but the nuance in this don't worry thing is that the birds aren't given the bugs or the worms. They're not given what they need. But there are high places for them to hunt from. So what I'm saying is, like, the stage is set. The terrain is made for you. That's the whole don't worry thing. They're saying, look at the birds. They don't gather or reap or sow into barns. They didn't plant that bug. They didn't plant that tree they sit on. They didn't raise that bug, is what I meant to say. They don't have a bug farm. And they don't grab a bug and then go keep it for a long time in their nest. I think one kind of bird does that. They go catch something, they bring it to their young. And they don't worry. Because they're made, that bird who stands up straight. Those birds who fly up to a high place and look down and then swoop down. That hawk who sits on the wind. He was, he has a design, whether that's a created design or a design through trial and error. He has the design to make him successful. Hello. Someone listening to the podcast just went, preach! He's got the design to make him successful. Right? So I just look at Bitcoin, or I just look at Doge, and I just went, whoa, look at that. That's a market reaction to something. You want to know something? You know what that dip in crypto was? It was the Chinese had announced, President Xi in China, or Xi, he announced that Chinese firms will not be allowed to become these sort of crypto platforms. Things like Binance and Robinhood, Crypto.com, Coinbase. He told these Chinese firms, hey, you ain't doing that. We're not looking for decentralized finance in China. So you're not allowed. This, of course, sparked. But look, I don't even need to know that. I didn't know that at the time. I just saw a huge reaction in the markets. And I went, well, where there is smoke, there's fire. Well, that's not really a good analogy for what I meant. It's like for every action, for everything, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? I knew that you can't have a giant sell-off without a little bounce. And you can't have a giant up without some correction. Because what's happening is when something's falling, it's that the demand to sell is sort of outpacing the demand to buy at all these price levels. So sellers are actually fulfilling the need to sell at lower prices, and they are demanding lower prices for their equity, for their asset. And what happens is eventually, as it goes down and down, they're finding more buyers as they go down. And eventually, the demand to sell is exhausted. And as you're going down in price, the demand to buy starts to come up until you find an equilibrium. And many times at that point, because of the inefficiency in the market, because literally prices are determined by the last transaction, and we reference prices by the last transaction on charts and on a ticker, and physically the market inefficiency is that human beings have to literally see the ticker to know that it went down. We don't have real time. Real time stock quotes are real time so much as you can understand them. They're giving you the data, but you have to understand it, right? And you have to make a decision. So there is a lag that happens, and the market moves so fast. The reason that lag is important is that it's not there with robo trading and stuff. But it means this: once people see something falls down 30%, they have time to assess it. And they look back at charts to make opinions, bullish or bearish. And then they start talking about it, and then they might run it by someone. This is true of professional traders as well. Hey, I think I'm going to go in on this if it gets to here. I'm looking for this price target. I've set, and a lot of these you set in the future because you see them coming, but sometimes things happen in the market and you have no plan for it, but you're trying to react in real time. So what happens is buyers at a certain price outweigh sellers. Buyers always equal sellers. Sellers always equal buyers. You have one in every transaction has a buyer and a seller. So there's never really more buyers than sellers. What there is higher or lower demand at a certain price. Meaning there's demand to buy at 30, but there's also demand to buy at 31. So when the seller sells at 31, that's the new price, and the demand to buy at 30 is still there. It's just that it's not gonna. There's no demand to sell now at 31 because everyone sees you can get 31. That's what they're selling. But as soon as there's no one to buy at 31, and there's demand to sell at 30, the price will up, and there's buyers at 30. The deal will be made. That will be the current price. Where have we gone with this podcast? You've got what you need. I've got what I need. Sometimes we make it too complicated. And we make it too complicated. You've got the profiles you need. You have the 5 profiles that you need. Go practice the guitar. You have the IRs you need. You got the brain you need and the body you need, and you got everything. So don't worry, because you're going to live until you die, whether you can afford it or not. It's so good. Oh, man, I'm so stoked about so many things coming up. I just share something with you real quick. I think the reason this came out today and why this is on my mind is there's just a couple more things I wanted to do, and all of a sudden I looked around and I said, I actually think I've arrived somewhere. Because when I get to right here, when I do those couple more things, that actually feels like a plateau. I'm sure there'll be more things I want to do and more, but that actually feels like, yeah, that's the thing I've been trying to build. That's the thing I've been trying to build. I've been HW. Thanks so much for listening to Junkie Podcast. HW out.